Every single morning at exactly 8:47, Marcus glides into the firm's paved parking lot, steering a sleek, midnight, Finnish European SUV that he took on a lease under a year ago.
His recurring statement sits right at $839 each month, locked into a 36-month obligation.
He intentionally claims the very first empty slot situated right by the main foyer doors, not because he minds walking a short distance, but because that specific vehicle remains completely visible
from the glass, walled upper boardroom where his division gathers for their weekly operational syncs.
Marcus works within consumer branding. He brings home a salary of $94,000 annually. Whenever a fresh account arrives for a tour, he is always the exact individual who guides those patrons back toward the main entry foyer, ensuring they catch a direct glimpse of that shiny machine.
As they exit the facility, that German vehicle is not mere utility. It represents a physical business card constructed out of premium foreign design and heavy recurring liabilities that he can scarcely handle without stress. Meanwhile, Evelyn leaves her vehicle in the furthest corner of that exact same paved area every weekday morning at 8:22.
She operates a 2020 midsize Japanese sedan, which she acquired pre-owned 3 winters back, handing over $22,400 in hard currency.
That sedan possesses a minor blemish on its back quarter panel, which she never bothered to correct, primarily because it has zero impact on how the machine functions mechanically.
Evelyn occupies a role within the very same enterprise as Marcus. She directs global logistics. Her annual compensation totals $112,000.
Marcus holds an entire net worth of just $17,000.
That figure accounts for outstanding revolving balances, that multi-year leasing commitment, an unsecured signature loan from an exotic getaway he funded last July, and a retirement balance of
barely $8,200, which he has funded with a meager 2% allocation since his hiring date. Evelyn possesses a personal net worth hovering around $1 million.
Marcus projects an aura of abundance. Evelyn actually holds abundance. They report to the exact same complex.
They pull down comparable compensation figures, yet the massive gulf separating their ultimate fiscal positions is built entirely on decades of highly contrasting choices. And the absolute grandest indicator of that contrast remains parked right out on the blacktop every single morning.
One selected the illusion of success, while the alternative selected the accumulation of capital. That vehicle purchase was where their paths initially diverged. This presentation exposes exactly why the most affluent citizens across the nation routinely, almost without exception, operate vehicles that would thoroughly shock your expectations.
It happens not because they lack the capital to secure high-end alternatives, but because their core understanding of capital is so fundamentally distinct from the typical consumer's mindset that the vehicle turns into the clearest physical manifestation of the exact wealth-building philosophy that granted them true independence in the first instance.
Let us unpack the data. The median figure surrendered by verified millionaires for their absolute most recent vehicle acquisition totaled exactly $31,367. For ultra-wealthy individuals holding $10 million or higher, that acquisition benchmark sat right at $41,971. That specific metrics pool originates from the landmark nationwide review of affluent households, which stands as one of the most exhaustive evaluations of prosperous citizens ever completed.
Let me provide some necessary perspective here. The typical transaction price for a factory new vehicle across the domestic market has now surged past the $48,000 threshold.
That means the typical citizen is surrendering far more capital for their transportation asset than the typical self-made millionaire ever surrendered for theirs.
A separate automotive analysis discovered that 61% of households commanding more than $250,000 in yearly earnings navigate their commutes inside basic family sedans, small crossovers,
and standard pickup trucks. 61%. These are households pulling down $250,000 each year.
These are individuals who could effortlessly issue a full check for a luxury off-roader, yet the clear majority of them choose to navigate traffic in a common commuter vehicle or a standard work
truck. Only 39% of those top-tier earning households selected premium imports whatsoever.
The absolute leading automotive manufacturer among verified millionaires is Toyota, trailed closely by Honda and then Ford.
high, and European manufacturers did not even surface until the fourth position, with competitive luxury brands occupying fifth place.
Merely 23.5% of affluent owners held a title to a vehicle from the current production cycle.
Based on the historic data trends, over half operated transportation that was greater than 2 years old.
The typical millionaire operates a machine that is roughly 4 years old, showing approximately 41,000 miles on the dashboard odometer.
These are definitely not individuals who are unable to buy factory, fresh models.
These are simply individuals who grasp a profound reality regarding capital that the public has been systematically conditioned to overlook.
Hi! Priced vehicles represent the single most devastating wealth destroyer inside the modern consumer landscape, outside of primary residential real estate.
And unlike residential property, which routinely maintains the capacity to increase in baseline value as decades pass, a vehicle immediately commences a downward spiral in worth the exact second you
Execute the final purchase agreement. A factory, fresh vehicle drops roughly 20% of its total trade value during its initial 12 months of road use. By the 5th year of ownership, it has surrendered about 40%. By the 7th year, most consumer vehicles retain a market value underneath a mere third of their initial window sticker price.
The typical fresh automotive statement across the domestic market hit an unprecedented $767 each month heading into 2026, based on consumer credit data trackers.
A massive portion of consumers now regularly shoulder commitments surpassing $1,000 monthly. Extended 84-month financing agreements representing 7 complete calendar years of monthly obligations are fast becoming the standard expectation.
This means an astonishing percentage of motorists are consistently making premium payments on a depreciating asset that is currently worth significantly less than what they owe the financial institution for the absolute majority of that contract's duration. They are completely underwater on the asset.
They owe more than the metal is worth on the open market.
And they are surrendering this massive chunk of capital every single month instead of positioning those funds inside an interest-bearing asset that actually expands.
Let me map out the mathematical reality, because this is where the figures turn incredibly aggressive.
Marcus leases his premium crossover at $839 monthly. Across his 36-month commitment window, he surrenders a total of $3,204. At the ultimate conclusion of that term, he possesses absolutely zero equity.
He surrenders the keys and immediately executes a brand new leasing contract because shifting backward to an ordinary automobile would feel like a massive social demotion.
He will replicate this cycle for roughly 30 years of his active professional life, shelling out an average of $800 monthly for a machine he will never truly possess.
Evelyn secured her standard sedan for $22,400 using upfront cash. She intends to pilot that asset for 8 full calendar years.
Her all-inclusive cost of vehicle operation, factoring in routine maintenance, insurance premium variances, and that upfront purchase price, boils down to roughly $330 monthly over the entire
lifespan of that automobile. After 8 full years of service, that machine remains perfectly functional.
She commands a private sale price of $9,000 for it, acquires a separate pre-owned model for $23,000, and effortlessly restarts the exact sequence.
The monthly delta between the strategy Marcus employs and the framework Evelyn relies upon sits right around $500.
$500, every single month.
Positioned into a standard basket of equities yielding an average 8% annual return over a 30-year time frame, the $500 monthly variance compounds into approximately $745,000.
Absorb that specific metric for a second. $745,000. That is not a fictional projection.
That is the concrete mathematical reality of the massive gap between $8, 100 monthly vehicle drain, and $3, 100 monthly transportation allocation compounded across a working career.
It represents the absolute boundary between stepping into retirement with total autonomy and entering your golden years with severe financial dread.
It is the core difference between complete financial sovereignty at age 60 and total financial dependency at 75, all stemming directly from the vehicle sitting out in your driveway.
Right now, the exact machine you selected primarily because of how it would register to anonymous onlookers.
Evelyn's impressive $1 million net worth did not materialize from some highly classified market maneuver or an unexpected windfall from an ancestral estate.
Fully 88% of all domestic millionaires are entirely self-made, according to comprehensive wealth accumulation studies.
Evelyn is part of that majority. She accumulated her capital purely by maintaining the massive gap between what she pulls in and what she dishes out.
And that vehicle selection is precisely where she insulates the grandest single portion of that specific gap.
Her deliberate choice of automobile is single-handedly responsible for roughly $600,000 of her aggregate net worth, representing more than half of her entire financial footprint from a solitary
Recurring choice she finalized decades ago and simply mirrored every 8 years since.
The same core wealth research revealed that 94% of affluent individuals systematically operated below their maximum financial capacity.
Only 31% maintained an average of six-figure earnings across their professional journeys.
Fully 1/3 never pulled down $100,000 in any individual calendar year of work. The top 5 professional titles appearing across those affluent lists were engineer, certified accountant, school teacher, mid-level manager, and practicing attorney. School teachers, a group culturally categorized as severely undercompensated, were appearing on affluent millionaire lists with greater frequency than medical professionals and executive technology.
Leaders. Why? Because the specific job title never dictates the financial outcome. The size of your financial gap dictates your ultimate wealth outcome. And the automobile is exactly where the typical consumer blows that gap completely wide open.
This presentation does not constitute official investment consulting, but I want you to see exactly why the vehicle specifically, out of all possible consumption brackets, remains the single choice.
That divides wealthy individuals from the general population more clearly than nearly anything else on Earth.
There are 3 primary drivers behind this phenomenon. The first driver is absolute magnitude.
A vehicle payment typically ranks as the second grandest monthly liability inside a domestic household budget, eclipsed only by primary shelter costs. Surrendering $767 each month consumes more capital than most citizens allocate toward their monthly nutritional needs.
It surpasses what most individuals put toward retirement markets. It exceeds what most people set aside in emergency accounts.
When the singular budget line item becomes bloated by $300, $400, or $500 beyond what is fundamentally required for safe, dependable transportation, that hyperconsumption
completely decimates every alternative positive financial habit.
You can terminate every digital streaming service, prepare your morning beverages in your own kitchen daily, pack your midday meals with religious discipline, and fiercely negotiate every utility
statement and the aggregate savings from all of those micro sacrifices combined will still never neutralize the massive variance between $400 vehicle layout and $900 vehicle commitment.
The automobile represents the massive boulder. The artisanal lattes are merely tiny pebbles. Most wealth media focuses exclusively on the pebbles because pebbles are incredibly simple to critique.
The massive boulder is where the real fortune is either preserved or entirely destroyed. The second driver is sheer duration. Unlike a weekend getaway, a premium dinner, or a designer coat, an automotive obligation persists for multiple years. 60 months, 72 months, 84 months. It functions as a non-stop, recurring siphon draining your financial engine on total autopilot for the better part of an entire decade. And because it operates automatically, your cognitive tracking completely normalizes it. By the 6th month of ownership, you no longer actively process the pain of that deduction.
It simply morphs into the background scenery of your economic life. You have reshaped your alternative spending behaviors around it.
You have normalized it as an unalterable cost of existing in modern society, except it is not unalterable.
It was a conscious selection.
A single selection you finalized on a random Saturday afternoon at a retail showroom that now drains $767 out of your pocket every single month for 7 long years while the physical asset
secured surrenders half its structural worth. The third driver is immense social coercion.
No alternative retail acquisition transmits the exact same volume of personal identity mapping as an automobile.
Your choice of vehicle is actively evaluated by your immediate neighbors, by your corporate peers, by the individual you are courting, by the parking attendant, and by your extended family when you
arrive at their home for holiday gatherings. It broadcasts a highly specific narrative regarding who you are, how much capital you command, and how effectively you are navigating life. That narrative is almost always a complete work of fiction, but the viewing audience possesses no way to verify that.
The public glimpses a European luxury emblem and automatically infers immense wealth. The public glimpses a 2020 basic sedan and automatically infers middle-class survival at best.
The social calculus surrounding vehicle presentation is so deeply woven into the modern consumer psyche that the typical person would genuinely prefer to be completely broke inside a premium vehicle
than completely solvent behind the wheel of a boring one. Marcus is the textbook definition of that mindset.
His European SUV drains him of $839 monthly, plus an additional $347 in insurance costs because high-performance imports carry substantially higher premium ratings, plus top-tier premium fuel, running roughly $20 to $30 more per tank fill than regular unleaded. His comprehensive monthly transportation footprint climbs well past $1,200 against a $94,000 baseline salary.